views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Hello, welcome to our weekly football show, NFL show. Let's talk football with Rick and Jack.
He's Rick, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick, he's Jack. He knows a lot more about this than me, and that was proven this past week. And you had a pretty good week on your evaluations and your picks and your few coins last week. Tell me about it.
A little bit of discretionary income coming in, coins as you like to.
Yes, a few coins.
So, won a few games. I didn't do a suckers bet like I normally do with a parlay. So I just did straight ups, money lines.
Who was the team that impressed you the most this last week? Who really looks good other than the Steelers?
It's not necessarily the team looking, or the team, not overall performance, but just you can see what the team should be doing with running the ball in Minnesota. That impressed me a lot.
What a turnaround.
Yeah. And if they can do more of that, then he won't have to throw the ball as much, because the running game is so awesome, and he can catch too.
Is Delvin Cook the man or what?
Four
touchdowns.
Best back in football right now.
I've always said it. When he got drafted out of college, I remember watching him at Florida State, and I'm like, this kid is great. And he wasn't one of the first backs picked, and I'm like, this kid is great. He's going to be great in the NFL. And, he's got that big contract now. His problem is injuries. But what an impressive performance. What an impressive performance.
Well, he was just trying to make up for the last few weeks that he's been out because of the groin injury.
Yeah.
And as a fantasy football player, as a fantasy player, it's nerve-wracking when I draft a player and by week 2 they have a groin injury.
Yeah.
And hamstring.
Is he one of your fantasy guys?
Yeah.
How many points did you get with him this week?
53, just a little bit.
Well, you won then, right? You won big.
Yeah. But this is most I scored this season, 175. So he did well for me.
Wow, good for you. Yeah, it's interesting because you look at this NFL right now, some of these favorites that like the Rams. I mean, they're not even protecting their quarterback. People are like, Tua's the new man in Miami. Tua didn't do anything. He had a less than average game. Their defense won the game.
Their defense did win the game.
They had a touchdown on a sack. They picked the ball up and ran for a touchdown. They had a touchdown on a punt return, a punt or kick return, one of the two. I think it was a kickoff return. They had a couple interceptions. I mean, the Rams looked terrible, and I'm like, what's up? What's up with the Rams?
Do you think it's before we start picking, in that sense, what's the NFL right now is so injury, all these teams have so many injuries. What do you think they can do to fix that? Is it the mental aspect? Is it the not enough training camp, no preseason? What do you think is causing all of this?
I think it's all of the above. I think that it's a great question, by the way. I think that the pandemic and what's in people's head is tough. They're worried if they're going to get it, if other guys on the team get it, if they're playing against a guy who has it. A lot of people have gone down with, the coronavirus and have had to go into quarantine. But I mean, I also think the empty stadiums. I'm looking at that game from the other night, the New York Giants against Tampa, and I'm like, how do these guys mentally get into this game? There's nobody here. This big, huge stadium, and I'm watching it. And it's like, these guys are literally just at practice scrimmaging, and it's like, I don't know how they do it. I'm not sure that I would it's a lot of money, and I guess you have to mentally get ready. But I think everybody's just a little bit off. But there's those teams that buy off on the situation where we're going to be greater than everybody else, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have adopted that philosophy, us against the world. And they're playing like that, and they show up every week. Teams don't show up every week. A team like the Rams did not show up in Miami. They should never.
And then the week prior, they were phenomenal.
They were beautiful. And they had all the problems were fixed against Chicago. They had a great game against Chicago. This week, their defense played fine, but offensively, there's no protection. I mean, you look at some of these other games that the Ravens look terrible. I mean, 4 turnovers. The kid's got 4 turnovers. I mean, Ravens shouldn't have lost that game. But Jackson was terrible, throwing interceptions for touchdowns. And, you know, and what happened to the Chargers was just, I don't know if you saw what happened there against Denver, where they lose the game on the last play of the game. The play prior to the end of the game, they get pass interference in the end zone. They're 6 points. Chargers are up by 6 with seconds to play. Denver throws a pass interference in the end zone. The ball goes to the 2-yard line. They throw a touchdown with no time left. Denver wins. Those kind of games are sad. You naturally don't want to play anymore. I mean, what do you think? What is your overall assessment? I mean, just so many teams that are up and down, and there's those few teams. Like the Packers were horrible last week. Cleveland was horrible last week.
Cleveland's always been horrible.
Well, they've had some good. I mean, you looked at that, and they were, you know, a pretty good football team. They were doing okay, but you look at that. I mean, the Titans losing to the Bengals. I mean, what's going on? The Patriots just get worse every week. I mean, this NFL is really a mess.
I think
it's really a mess.
Though, you say like Pittsburgh as far as being consistent, they're up there.
Seattle.
Yeah, they're consistent on the high end, and then another team that's very consistent are the Jets.
Well, yeah, consistently bad.
Consistently bad, but so.
Yeah, hey, the Giants. I mean, the Giants were in that game, you know, against Tampa, and again at the end they went for 2 points. Again, that's another controversial thing that should have been an overtime game. Somebody say pass interference, some say no. But the NFL is crazy right now. I mean, it's all over the place. So many teams that look like favorites didn't look good. I mean, how do you play this week? I mean, what are you thinking about going into this week? It's, you know, it's basically halfway through the season. Everybody's either going to be playing their 8th game. So, you know, the teams that have already played 8 games aren't going to be playing this week. We got some buys in here with Cincinnati, Cleveland, Rams, Philadelphia will be off because they've already played 8 games. It's the 8th game for a lot of teams, so we're really going to be halfway through the 17-week season. I mean, tell me what. I mean, how do you do it this week? I mean, how you bet this up?
You have to
give me some guidance because I was horrible last week.
You got to look at injuries.
Let's get that out of the way. I was horrible last week.
Injuries.
Let's move on.
We have to look at injuries, and that's why I asked you the question as far as like just the mental status and like how, like what do you attribute the I guess the mediocre play or or is it the strength and conditioning coaches? Like isn't it their time right now to shine because so many injuries throughout the NFL, and it's the groin, it's the hamstring, it's the high ankle.
A lot of high ankles that I haven't seen, and it's happening a lot. I think your point is really legitimate. I believe that it comes down to mentality. I don't think people are mentally as keyed up to play. And if you're not mentally keyed up to play in the NFL and your mind is not really there and you're looking around and there's nobody in the stands, you're naturally going to get hurt. I mean, you got to be ready to go out there and play every week. But I don't think they're in the same condition. I believe that everybody's not training as hard because of what's going on, and coaches are giving guys breaks, and they're so worried. They're taking up so much time testing before practice, making sure everybody's being faithful to the mask when they're supposed to be having them. It's a weird place. I mean, I love NFL, but this season has been a challenge for a lot of the bettors. I know it's been a challenge for me, and it's a lot of it's mental. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
So what are we going to do this week? I mean, what's the answer? I mean, I was horrible last week. I suck. I ate a lot of crow, and guess what? I don't know Jack, but you were really good last week. So
no, on the bright side for you, last week was the first time you actually won your bet for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
Are you gonna?
Hey, Thursday Night Football.
It takes one to start a pattern, right?
How many? Don't bet with me on Thursdays. It's just like this week. I mean, Green Bay and San Francisco. San Francisco got half the team out. I mean, the running backs are out. I think they're down to the third string running back and a guy off of the taxi squad. And the quarterback's out. Garoppolo's out for several weeks. Kittle's out for several weeks. Green Bay didn't play any defense last week. I mean, they really got beat up by Minnesota, and they're vulnerable on defense. They really are vulnerable to the running game. There's no way a guy in the NFL should run over you like that at home. There's no way.
But he's a good running back.
So who's going to win this game?
Aaron Rodgers does not have 2 consecutive bad games, so I think he's going to come out blazing, and he's going to shut up everyone on the radio or on ESPN that's, talking crap, and he's going to put them in their place
Green
and win the
Bay,
game.
Green Bay given 4 points in San Francisco.
It's
You're gonna
not
go with-
enough.
You're going to go with Green Bay.
They'll probably win by 2 touchdowns.
Okay, let me write that down. 2 touchdowns. So if you're that adamant about it, and I've been so bad, I'm going to go Green Bay with you. I'm going to follow on your successful coattails of last week, and you know, that's what we're going to do. Into Sunday. Ooh, it's a good game. Seattle, Buffalo.
At Buffalo, I actually like the Seahawks.
Given 2.5 on the road.
Yeah, but
Wow, that's bold.
But their problem is defense, and they cannot afford Russell Wilson to make any kind of mistake. If he makes any kind of mistake, they're very vulnerable to lose that game because of the lackluster defense.
Okay, well,
But
that being said, I'm going with Buffalo. I'll take the 2.5 points at Buffalo at home all day long.
Okay.
All day long. I think Buffalo is going to have a breakout game this week. So I'm going Buffalo, you're going Seattle. The Thursday night game, we're both going Green Bay. What's up next?
Denver, Atlanta.
What a dog game that is.
I'm gonna go with Falcons. I thought last week would win was it's a division game for Denver, but this week I just think the Falcons, their offense is there again. It's a defense that's a suspect. So I'm gonna go with Atlanta.
Okay, I agree with you. Atlanta at home, give them 4. They're improving every week. Atlanta really has not played bad football. They've lost some tough games.
It's
and
mental.
and they've looked good at times.
It's mental.
Yeah.
All the mental bad decisions that they make.
Yeah.
Or not knowing the rules.
The next game, Tennessee getting 6 at home against the Bears. There's a lot of controversy right now that the Foles really isn't the guy, and that Trubisky should be back in there because Foles can't run the football and he gets stuck in the pocket. And I don't know. I mean,
Titans for me.
I agree with you. I think Titans big because they had a team that lost last week. I mean, and that's mental. How do you lose to Cincinnati? How do the Titans lose to Cincinnati? Just put the ball on the ground and run it every time. Give the ball to Henry every time. I mean, Cincinnati is. Come on, the ball's going to be in the air 50,000 times, anyways. But I don't know. I have to agree with you. I have to go with Tennessee.
I'm gonna go with Titans too. Detroit against Minnesota.
Yeah, is Minnesota going to show up 2 weeks in a row?
I think so. It takes one to create a pattern, and
Yeah.
I think they kind of like find a formula now what we need to do. So then we take the ball out of Cousins' hand and use what we have and do it well. They just need to make sure that they're blocking and then in a sense like just play smart football.
Yeah, and as you know, in being a great advocate of what goes on in the NFL and knowing it well, you're very well in tune to the fact that a great running game leads to a great passing game.
Yes.
And you take the pressure off of Cousins, and the problem is with Cook out a lot and just not having that running game, Cousins is not you got to let him do his thing in free flow. If you're counting on him to pass every down, he's going to die. He's going to get killed out there. So you're right. The running game with Delvin Cook has been great, and I hope he stays healthy and it goes well. But I'll go with Minnesota also. Next up.
Ravens, Colts. I like the Ravens. I think they're basically got to pull their head out of there. You know what? And with that defense going with the Colts, going up against the Colts, I think again that Rivers finds a way. Like he just finds a way to throw that one interception that's gonna be the game changer.
Yeah.
And with the defense for Baltimore, I think they'll take it.
Yeah, the Colts have been an up and down team, and they've had some good games and some bad games.
And they have good defense. And
Yeah, they
good
do have a good
O-line,
defense.
So I don't understand why they're not playing more or better.
I'm going to say that the Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens are a very upset football team. They don't like what happened against Pittsburgh. They were really the better team. You take
Especially the division game.
That's my game of the week. You heard it here. Baltimore given 2.5 at Indianapolis. Baltimore is a very upset football team the way they played last week, and they're not real happy. They've lost 2 games now to Kansas City and to Pittsburgh, 2 fine teams, but the reality of it is Baltimore played very poorly in both those games. And is that a trend against good teams that Lamar Jackson is gonna choke this year. He's had a couple of bad games, and one was against Kansas City, and the other one was against Pittsburgh, who are going to be contenders against them to go to the Super Bowl. So, they got visions of the Super Bowl, the Ravens. But that's my game of the week. I give that 2.5, and I believe the Ravens will light the Colts up. They are an upset football team. So that's where I'm going. You like them too?
Yeah.
This is another crazy game. Kansas City, 12 points they're giving to the Panthers at home. Kansas City rocks them, don't they?
Yeah, but the difference is this is not the Jets, where the Jets
The Jets
have no
college teams.
Oh, I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
People always say a bad NFL team. A bad NFL team can beat any college team.
I don't know. I think Ohio State can play with the Jets.
Yeah, until it's men against boys.
Until they suit up.
Yeah.
So we don't want to spend much time.
But there's no defense in Kansas City. So again, as long as Bridgewater gets to throw that ball, I think he'll be right up there neck and neck with.
McCaffrey's back this week, right?
Even better.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of rusty, but
or well rested.
Well rested. I like it. Well rested. I'm going to get that in my vocabulary. Well rested, folks. He's been on it how long? Anyways, Kansas City will win by 21 or more.
I doubt it. It's going to be closer than that. It's
another
probably
good
gonna
game
be
to
a
bet.
Touchdown.
What you got next? What else are we looking at?
We got Houston and Jacksonville. Texans all day long.
I agree. Jacksonville's another hapless team. And then this next game is, wow.
Giants.
Giants at Washington football team. Is that how they call themselves?
Yeah.
The Washington football team. They said they're going to keep that name next year, too. What a joke. The Washington football team.
I'm going to go with Giants. I think they're playing much better, and it's going to be close. Like, it's 3.5. It's a division game. They're close. So, but I think the Giants are going to pull this out.
I'm going with, definitely going with the Washington football team. I'm definitely going with the Washington football team. I think that Ron Rivera is going to continue to improve that ball club, and fortunately he's made it through his chemotherapy, and that was good to hear. Good luck to Mr. Ron Rivera, because he's a good dude, he's a good man, and I really want to see Washington make it. So because of him, and I think they're going to improve, I'll give that 3.5 to the Giants and take Washington football team.
Okay. What about the Raiders, Chargers?
That's a fun game, right? That's a fun game. I'm with the Raiders all day. The Chargers are, I don't know. The Chargers have the worst luck in the NFL. I have seen them the last couple years.
Are you having a hard time getting around town? Is that why you're picking the Raiders this week?
No. The Raiders were great in Cleveland, folks. By the way, yeah, let me bring that up. Let's stop right there. For all you Raider fans.
Stop giving him a hard time
for
around.
all you Raider fans, that 4-3 Raider team, I got to tell you, I was a great deal of respect for the way they went into Cleveland. You got to understand, they play over here in Las Vegas, where the weather's still in the 80s over here in November, and they were playing in what? The winds were unbelievable. The temperature was.
Did you see that first kick?
Oh my God, that first field goal went. But the Raiders, despite the bad conditions, they got beautiful conditions over here to practice and live. And hey, Raiderville over here in Vegas.
It's 87 degrees today.
Yeah, it's going to be 87 today. So I tell you, great job. Kudos to Gruden and his staff for getting that team ready. They went into a very, very, very aggressive winds, aggressive weather, and they really put it to Cleveland. Yes. I mean, Cleveland, 6 points. Are you kidding me? What is wrong with you in Cleveland? There's another team I can't stand. So poorly coached. Baker Mayfield, please. I'm sure you're a great guy. You make a lot of commercials and you're doing well financially, but man, you're a shit quarterback. Anyways, let's get back to the Raiders and Chargers.
I'm going with Raiders.
I'm going with Raiders too. Chargers at home, which they're going to LA. It's not that far for the Raiders. It's on the West Coast and good weather, and they play in that beautiful. Going to play in that beautiful SoFi Stadium. Chargers giving 1.5 again. That's a nice bet to take the Raiders. I think all you Raider fans load up this week. I think the Raider fans really need to load up this week. The Chargers took a horrible loss in Denver. The Chargers should have won.
And this is a
division. Don't you agree the Chargers should have won? Did you see what happened in that game?
No, you played the game.
You were really up.
You played the game to win.
But what
and
happened?
you don't make mental mistakes at the end.
What happened to the
You
Chargers?
play to win.
I couldn't believe Denver won that game.
I didn't like the outcome, but because I really like Herbert, but you play to win.
The Chargers really thought they had that game. And Denver, again, a team that works hard.
Especially a division
Not a
game
great
too.
team. But the
you gotta win
Chargers
those.
are still reeling from that loss last week, I think. And, I'll go with the Raiders,
You
too.
think they're gonna have hangover in that loss?
Man,
Or just gonna keep
their losses are piling up.
It's
And
piling
their
up,
tough losses are piling up.
but
and
he's playing better, and he's getting more comfortable.
Well, hey, those are two different subjects. I mean, as a young man, Herbert is playing great football. I mean, as a rookie, that kid has done some amazing things. He throws a good football. He's made some key passes. He had a good game the other week. You can't account for what happens on the defensive side of the ball, but the Chargers offensively have a good team. They got great receivers on the Chargers, and they have some good running backs. I'm from LA. I root for the Chargers.
But historically,
they play hard. They play harder than the Rams.
But historically,
it's sad the way
the
they
Chargers actually they win in November for some reason when the beginning.
Okay,
the start
so
of
you're
season.
taking the Chargers then?
No, absolutely not.
It's November.
In the past.
In the past.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they win.
They've been bid all year from the time that Tyrod Taylor got freaking the lung collapsed by a inept doctor. So I mean, and they gave Herbert a good excuse to play, and now they won't take him out. But he's a good quarterback. Taylor will be gone. But we'll go with the Raiders to go to 5-3.
He just wants to be able to go to the grocery store this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Without being heckled.
Oh God, terrible.
Let's go. What about
Pittsburgh and Dallas.
Yeah, Steelers. Move on.
Hey, well, I just want to say, no respect. 14 points at home. The Cowboys are.
They might win by 21.
Well, I say Pittsburgh wagon will just keep rolling. Cowboys have got nothing. What do they got? Zeke doesn't even want to play.
No, he's
Zeke's
not in their mental.
Counting weeks. I mean, now they freaking. They're playing. That kid doesn't know how to play football in the NFL. That rookie.
He's not ready.
The poor kid he's throwing 5-6 yard passes and then making mistakes. He's not ready, and Pittsburgh will light them up.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's going to win by the amount of points that they score.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about Arizona at home, 4.5 given to Miami. Miami won a big game against the Rams. Miami's defense looks good. Tua will have his second start of the year in Arizona. Arizona up by 4.5. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Cardinals, and I think they're one of those teams that they're better than they play at times, and we saw that when they played Seattle.
Yeah.
And the way they won that game, and
Played a great game.
And I don't think Tua is ready for that yet.
He's not. We won't get into that, who should be the quarterback, but we've done that enough. But I believe Arizona continues to improve every week. That's a good football team. I mean, Murray is he's starting to look really good. He's making some good decisions. He's got great receivers there. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is, fantastic. Fitzgerald, that's a great football team. I think Arizona continues to improve. I really do. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
I think so too.
And I think that Miami's in for a long day, even though Miami plays good defense. Miami's got a good defense. But I don't think it's good enough to win in Arizona. And then the last Sunday night game, the last game of Sunday, a good game. Tampa Bay, 4.5 favorite over the visiting Saints, and it's two couple of legendary quarterbacks who
meeting for the second time this season.
Yeah, who have had an incredible journey, and I think it'll be a fun game to watch. What do you think? Who do you like here?
I like the Buccaneers with this one just because the first time they met, the Tampa Bay didn't have a rhythm. Yeah,
it was the first game of the year.
But it's gonna show the difference now. Go around a second time go around. I give it to the Bucs.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, Tampa Bay, again, is one of those teams like Arizona that's improving every week. Now all of a sudden you're seeing Gronk getting the ball more, getting comfortable there. He's a great blocker, by the way. People talk about his pass catching ability. Gronkowski is a great blocker. I think Tampa Bay continues to improve. I like Mike Evans. What a receiver he is. I think he's one of the best in football.
Did you see that last catch?
Oh, unbelievable. He went and got it. It was going to be on the ground, and he went and got it. That was a good defense, by the way. I like Tampa Bay to continue to improve, and they win that game. I agree with you. And then, finish up the week. We end up, end of week 9, we got New England at the Jets. Oh, my God, New England, -7.5. Big problems in New England, big problems with the Jets, but I think New England's going to rebound.
I'm giving it to New England.
I do, too.
It's a division game, and it's the Jets are not doing what they're supposed to do at the end of the day, and it's like it frustrates me like crazy every week, and I'm like these.
It's frustrating.
It's frustrating, but I don't want the coach to get fired. I don't want him to turn it around because we're sucking for who? Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. What's going to happen to poor Sam Darnold?
I get straight. He
was going to be the difference maker in the organization a few years ago.
No, I think even though
it's just part of the problem.
No, it's the O-line. There's no protection, so you can't throw the ball. You don't have time to throw the ball. You can't block for the running back. So it's a team game, and that's one of their weakest points, and they're not protecting him.
No, they're not. It's a frustration there, and it's a tough place, and New England again. They're frustrated also. They just look.
And the fans are frustrated. I'm frustrated.
They look terrible, but New England, I think, is going to get it going this week. I hope so. I hope Cam plays a good game. I hope that Belichick is happy. He hasn't been happy in weeks, and New England's really struggling. And they talk about the salary cap problems and making some excuses. And I don't really like that because you've had it your own way for many years, and now we're talking about salary cap is keeping them from being able to bring players in. And I'm not going to. I'm not going to take that.
They're paying their quarterback like $3 million. What?
I'm not
going to
take that. I mean, come on. If you're losing, you're losing. Stop making excuses. And, maybe it was Brady that led that team and was the true leader and was the true guy, and maybe Belichick was just on Brady's coattails. It appears like that right now.
That's what it looks like.
And there's a lot of conversation about that. But, again, New England should win this game. That pretty much sums up this week. Again, last week was tough. A lot of favorites lost. It was a very tough week. NFL is tough right now. NFL is really, really tough right now. But I think we got some legitimate picks here this week. A couple games. You didn't give me your game of the week.
You know what? I really like Steelers Cowboys.
Okay.
All day. I think the 14 points is not enough. But, you have to be conservative sometimes.
Yeah. My game of the week is Baltimore, given 2.5. I think they're going to have a big week. But thanks for watching us. Continue to follow us. We're picking up viewers every week, and I want to thank you for watching us. Please continue to like our shows. Give us that thumbs up, that like. Join the network, WWDBTV. Watch our shows. We got a lot of shows here. This is a great network, great producer here, run by Mr. John Stiles. This is a
producer extraordinaire.
Yes, he is. This is a great show. We're not always right, but Scott Van Pelt's not always right, and he's a mega superstar. And we're just a couple guys that know football. Please continue to watch us. Please continue to like us. Comment. If any of you would like to come down to the studio or come in on Zoom and be a guest on our NFL show, we'd love to have you on. We'd love to have you come in with your prognostication and tell us what you think about it. Every week. We'd like to have some guests on. We're getting tired of looking at each other. And this is the man right here, my buddy Jack. Thanks for your comments this week. You had a great week last week. I want to acknowledge that. I totally sucked last week, and if any of you bet on my games, if you see me, throw something at me. You really should. I was bad last week. This week, I think we got a good opportunity. Some of these favorites that didn't play well last week are going to play well this week.
They're going to bounce back, definitely.
They're going to bounce back.
Watch some film.
Hopefully it gets better in the NFL, and there's just not so many surprises, and the teams that are supposed to win keep winning, and the average teams get a little better, and the bad teams just continue to be bad teams. Anyways, thanks. Again, watch us, like us, follow us, join us, get on the show. Have a great weekend. Super talking to you. Talk soon.